thank you for the organizer. Thank you, Vasilisa. Thank you, Hervé. It's very great event that the test, and a very great opportunity to learn great science with high quality talks. I'm very impressive each year. It's also the opportunity to make a discover, but not also a scientific discover, but human discover. Because I usually remark that many of you have a conversation, exchange ideas, and it's a great opportunity to communicate, to make links. And that's what we are going to do just now, it's to communicate. This talk, as you have understood, is not a scientific one, but it's a talk on science communication. And we can't talk about communication in science without talking about communication. Communication in science is communication at all. We are going to talk about human, because there is no communication without human. There is no communication without the ecosystem, and there is no communication without interaction. And if you have no vision of the future, no vision of what about you are going to think, or what about you are going to want to exchange, it's not possible to communicate. For this talk, I would like to learn to you something, so I hope so. But more, I would like to learn something by myself from you. So I'm waiting that you will be able to learn to me something. Because if his goal is achieved, it will be a sign that this communication will be successful. If I learn nothing, maybe my message will not be so great. So we can go like that. I imagine 3 goals. I can imagine 3 other ones. But I choose one goal that is to evaluate the place of human being. I know it's a very challenging goal, because perhaps it's not possible to do that here, to do that in 1 hour, or to do that in one entire life. But I think it's an interesting goal, not to achieve this goal, but to go more closer to this goal as you can. Second one is to communicate as accurately as possible. What does it mean? Just I will give you an example to start. It was in January maybe 2009, the 15th of January, and Chelsea Sullenberger, who was a pilot, was flying over the Hudson. You know the Hudson, near New York? You know a pilot? You imagine the temperature of the water in January? And suddenly, he tells something to the passenger. Here is your pilot. Here is your captain. Please prepare to the impact. This is a clear message. So we are going to achieve this goal, to communicate as accurately as possible. And if you can, and I hope you can, I would like you to act with a holistic way of thinking. Not just have a look on yourself, just only have a look on the people who are around you, but think with a holistic way, think regarding the world, act locally, but think global. Here's a summary. What is communicating for humans? It's not the same one. If you're communicating for human or communicating for machine, it's not the same. Not now. The importance of the ecosystem, interacting with the world, and the major one is making sense. Because if you're communicating and you don't want to make sense, stop communicating before starting. Don't communicate without making sense. You waste your time, and maybe you are wasting time for the other people. You address your messages. What is communicating for humans? How do we communicate? What do we communicate for? And I will have a look to the specific case of science, because the case of science is specific. You know that, but you will see is very specific case that the reason why it's so difficult to bring a message when it's a scientific one. It's really a challenge. So how do we communicate? So the world of communication is built from scratch by the human being, and it is one of the greatest construction and also the one that escapes him for the most. You can listening, it's a means to communicate. You can singing, for example, Happy Birthday to you, Simon. That's a song you heard this week many times. So happy birthday, Simon. You can crying, you can writing, you can remain silent. If you remain silent, you communicate. Like this. If you have no silence in music, you change the music. If you remove silence, you change the music. If you remove silence in a communication, you change the message. So silence is a means of communication, a very important one. You can running away, that's a means to communicate. You can waving, you can speaking, you can applaud, and you can go on strike. Even if you can go on strike for, I don't know, there is many reasons of strike by the moment. And the communication is, as you know, is verbal, is non-verbal, is written, and is visual. So to communicate, you usually have to combine all these kinds of communication. Otherwise, your communication will be flat. What do we communicate for? No communication without intent. You communicate by all means. Communicate to express a point of view. You communicate to express a feeling. That's not the case for machine. You communicate because you want to teach something. You communicate because you feel lonely and you want to make new friends. You communicate to seek advice. You communicate to ask a question, to obtain an answer. You communicate to negotiate. You communicate because you are looking for a new job. You communicate because you want to convince. And most of all, you communicate because you want to live. You want to be recognized. You want to exist. You want to be here in this world, on this beautiful planet. This is a mean. There is no communication without intent. No, never at all. We are going to exclude the case of the communication that involve nobody. For example, if I would like to communicate alone, me with me, is it possible? Maybe I have a dream, I communicate by myself, with me, for me. So we exclude this case. Specific case of science, you will recognize some characteristics. Here is the world of science. Science does not express feeling, never. If you say something about science and you express the things you say about science, the knowledge, for example, with your feelings, no chance. Science is not feeling. Science is experiments, is proof, is not a kind of improvisation. No science by feeling. Science language is not understood by all. I'm sure you're aware of that. And if you want to be understood, you have to use all the words that can be understood by everybody, or be understood by the people you're addressed to. So be careful. Science is always asking questions, rarely have answer. No answer for each question. Many questions remain without answer. It's very important because in other science or other topics, for example, science fiction, because we were talking about science fiction just before, we usually have answer. Because for having an answer, just you have to imagine the answer. So there are plenty of answers. That's not the case of the science. In science, there is, unfortunately, not usually answer. And it is a good sign. If you wake a morning with all the answers of science questions, you will be very sad. You will not have a good reason to get up in the morning. So, question is the heart of the science. Dots is the heart of the science too. It's a part of the scientific process. No dot, no science, no scientific process, nothing. Science needs time. As they said, and more particularly Frank says that we are waiting to have the answer just now. We have a question, we need the answer just immediately. But science needs time to find, science needs time to experiment, a lot of time. It's not the same time that the time human is comfortable with. And science provides justifications. Science fiction never provides justification, or rarely, but science needs to provide justification because it's asked to give that. Without justification, no science. So, as you can see, the world of communication is not trivial at all. And that's the reason why it's so difficult to transmit a message in science, because science is not a field in which you can communicate as it is attended by the people who is listening to you. People want to know everything, be sure that the answer is the right one, want the answer just now because he asks a question, and this is not the way of proceeding for science. So you have to deal with that. Nobody ignores here the importance of the ecosystem. Nobody. State of the art worldwide of the ecosystem, that's what we are going to see now, the social and behavioral impact, and how the communication models shift just now, in fact. So what is the state of the art? You're not waiting this slide, I'm sure. You're not waiting for a brand ranking in 2022. Why this slide? Why? You can see number one of the brand is Apple. You're not surprised. Number two is Microsoft. Number three is Amazon. Number four is Google, and so on. And 25 is YouTube. Why this slide? Because you can see there is no research center on this slide. There is no brand, no CNRS, no. No French or no international, no research center. It's normal, because research centers are not here to do money. But without science, without your research, no brand, none of them will be on this chart. Because they use your research, your result. No Apple, no Tesla, no Facebook, no IBM, nobody. This is the growth from 2001 to 2019. You can see IBM remains the same, but you can see the large size of Apple, large size of Google and Amazon. Why? Because of the internet. Because of the world of connection. And it's not possible to communicate by ignoring this growth, by ignoring that those brands are the leaders, and the leaders in science communication too. This is a digital world landscape. I divided it in two parts. First one is a web documentary, is the first use of the internet of digital world. In web documentary, you will have now professional exhibition, databases. You can see conferences, you can go on corporate website, you can do a tour on broadcast radio, you can, even if you want, show TV, and so on. This is one part of the digital world. The other part, that's the part in which we are more and more implied, is the social web. Social web is for group discussion, is for social network, for game. My advice is not to spend all your time on social media or on internet, but to use these tools, those tools, to be inspired. Just to take the information you need for your research, but not to just be focused on it. There is a lot of different kind of tools, and it's impossible to escape. What is societal and behavioral impact for all of that? This impacted relationships in the world regarding strategy and regarding influence. There is a new wordings. Before, your notoriety is based on your neighbor, is based on your parents, is based on your friends, on the people you have around you. And now, your reputation, your notoriety, and your community is very, very extended. The extension is a worldwide extension. There is no limit. There is no border, no frontier. No, not at all. We have an impact on time, on immediacy, on means to work, means to share data, means to be connected, work with. So this is a global shot. I provide you some data, impressive data, I think. If you are aged from 16 to 74, well, I don't know why this number, but you spend 7 hours a day on the internet. It's not a fake news. It's a hot suite, a very valuable source. For example, you spend more than 2 hours and 27 minutes a day using social media. It is an average. I think you're afraid, because I am afraid. I was afraid, and I'm usually afraid. In January 2021, it was the same. I was afraid. And I think in 1 year and 2 years and 10 years, I will be more and more afraid by that. This is the growth. 4% in 2022 versus 2021 for internet user. More than 62% of the general population. And the same one for active social media user, plus 10% comparing to 1 year before. So I let you imagine what it should be in 10 years. This is one of my favorite websites. The name of the website is not written here. Is the internet in real time. If you go on the web page on the internet in real time, you will see a counter that started as soon as you'll be connected to the page. And just have a look, and you will be astonished. In 1 minute, people share, for example, 1 billion posts on Facebook, just in 1 minute. So when you post something on Facebook, you press a button and you think you're alone. It's not really the case. That's the same thing for all the other apps. 69 billion message, SMS or WhatsApp message, short message are sent just in 1 minute. It's not a joke. And you can see the movie. We don't have a good Wi-Fi here. Otherwise, I will be connected, but you have to test. So 90% of media interaction are done through screen. 90%. 90 through screen. It's not nothing. It's very, very, very huge. I don't know what your age is, but if you represent the silent generation, this is not your case, I know. You use just 25% of the hub channels. Hub channels, and more particularly, you use TV, radio, and mainstream media. If you have, like me, a Generation X is a huge, huge amount of usage for hub channels. Is 94%. It means that we are usually on the web and we are not exactly know where to find the information. So you are looking everywhere and yeah, we are looking everywhere and we have to find the best information. But your generation is more selective. You are using just the half of the hub channel. You make your choice, you make more precise choices, and you are ultra connected, usually. Generation is to take into consideration when you want to communicate, even if you want to communicate in science. Generation Z, it's also called Generation C. It means communication, collaboration, connection, and creativity. And according to Nicolas Sedirac, he's the managing director of the school 421, Generation Z has a relaxed relationship with mistakes. You are not afraid by making mistakes. You like it. You make mistakes, you try again. You make mistakes, you try again. My generation hates shame on mistake. We don't want to do mistake. But you are not afraid. And it's a good news for science, because by making mistakes, you make improvement. What is shift in communication models? I put this word, communication 6.0. Don't search on internet. I just created yesterday. I don't know how to name it, and I put 6.0. You can see a very great transition, a very hard one, from paper to digital. There is no more paper. If you use paper, you are against the ecosystem. If you use paper, you waste paper. Everything is on digital, even if newsletter or something like that. We have a change of temporality. We are in the world of immediacy. We can wait. So you have to deal with that, because science needs times and people are usually in the rush. And you have to think about the diversification of the audience. Before the web world, when you would like to address a message to a target, you think about the message. What they want to hear, what they need to hear. You think about the message according to your target. Now, it's not the case. Now, the question is, on which support, on which medium I have to communicate. Because if you choose your medium, you choose your audience. If you want to find a job, you will post a message on LinkedIn. You will not post a message on Instagram. If you want to show a picture, you will not use LinkedIn. You will choose to post a picture on Snapchat or Instagram or something like that. So it's a revolution. It's a kind of revolution in terms of communication. The message has not the same importance that before. This is the choice of the target that is important, most important. And I think it will be the case more and more. it will be more and more apps, more and more medium. I don't think that we will remain to Facebook, with Twitter, with LinkedIn, or with Snapchat, and so on. I think there will be more and more apps to exchange, and you will have to choose the best apps, the more appropriate apps to reach your target, to reach your audience. How to interact with the world. So, as you are a student, and as you tend to do presentation, you have perhaps a presentation for your project this afternoon. I think it will be great for you to have some advices regarding the art of presentation, how to communicate in sciences also to make presentation, how to build the content production for your presentation, and how to spreading knowledge you build. Regarding the art of presentation, the most important moment is the present, because if you don't take care of your present, you miss your future. If you don't care to your present, you miss your future. Really. What are your objectives and goals? Never do a presentation without objectives and goals. If you have none, make no presentation. Knowing the expectations of your target, of the public. Because if you don't know what they want to earn, what they are interested in, you are not able to provide the answer, and you are not able to make them happy. One of your goals of the presentation is to make your people happy. Make people happy. Then you have to be on the right level of expertise, and you have to deal with mixed group. For example, in this audience, some of you are specialized in geology, some other one are specialized in chemistry, and so on. Not the same level in all the disciplines. So you have to adapt and to manage mixed group. It's very important to catch the attention of everyone, not just 1 or 2 or 10% of the audience. You have to address your message to the entire one. And time allowed and waiting between each part, that means it's not possible to do a long introduction and to take your time to the start, to take your time, and then realize that you're near the end and you just have done 20% of your presentation. And run to conclude. So be careful. You can reserve a part for improvisation. Your improvisation is good for your talk, but not a large part, just a small part of improvisation. Adapting your speech, putting your topics into context. Explaining why you are speaking about something, choose the level of detail. It's not just to go very deep into detail for one part of your presentation and for another part to flying over. No. Stay consistent, making good graphic choices. Why? Because visual communication is very powerful. So don't forget, use graphics, use right visual aids. It's a very powerful one, and it's very useful for a social network that like all this kind of stuff. Always go from general to particular. Never start with a small detail to go to the general purpose. No, make the way back and start for general to a particular purpose. So, how to produce content? There is different kind of media. You know that. Written production, podcast, video, photo, object. Don't forget you can make an object to explain science. Yeah, you can build an object. Science is not just written production. You can diversify the means to provide the information. You have to leading thread to define a plan. Never start without defining a plan. Even if at the end you rebuild the plan because you find that your conclusion is not very correlated to the plan, so you can redefine the plan, but start with a plan. Putting the ideas forward, use keywords. You know that keywords are very important. You can Google keywords for your subject, and Google will provide all the keywords that are up to date, the keywords that are in the preoccupation of people, of your audience. So use the keywords and select the keywords. Not by chance, you have to try to find the best. And adopt a logical progression, not be here and then go there and then go follow me. No, you're not on Twitter. Usually respect what you have announced. If you don't respect what you have announced, no, it's not possible. I prefer forget that. What is the ingredient? So clarify your thinking. You use short sentences, very short sentences. And as you know, now the new means to communicate and also in science is the storytelling. To make information more engaging, memorable, because we have a good reminder of picture. Storytelling, don't afraid people. Maybe it's the reason of success of storytelling. And people like comics, they want to play, they like the games, and storytelling is a kind of game. More than a paper, more than a scientific paper with many pages, it's awful to read. So highlight the important elements. It's more easier to follow you, to understand. For the conclusion of your presentation, do a summary, encouraging discussion. And you have to value comment. When you engage a discussion, be always generous with the question, your urgent answer. Be very caring, pay attention, and all the questions are interesting questions, not to be avoid. And don't forget to give avenues for further study, because your presentation never finished. As soon your presentation time is done, your presentation should be continued. So you have to give avenues, you have to make links, how to go further. And the intelligence, as I like to say, is not in just one brain. So you have to discuss, you have to make your project grow with discussing by the group. So how to spread knowledge? There is a lot of means for disseminating science. Teach, you know that's what you're going to do, or you do, you always do. Writing a book, why not? Publishing in a scientific journal on specialist website, open access publishing, or posting on social networks. That's all the means you can use. One of the means never exclude another one, so you just have to adapt to your publication and to the message you want to send. Giving a lecture, it's a kind of mean of disseminating science. Now you can do a lecture in remote or live, collaborating between scientists from different fields is very important to mixed field of expertise. Because if you usually speak with the talk exchange with people who are working in the same field as your field, you lose a lot of information and you lose a lot of new ideas you will have to have if you have exchange with people that the expertise is in other field than yours field. So do not hesitate to exchange with people who are specialists in ethics, who are specialists in history of science or philosophy of science, or maybe arts, arts. Yes, you can have new ideas in geology by exchanges with people who is a professional of sculpture, for example, or who write poetry, or I don't know. But you do not hesitate to collaborate with scientific from different fields, and more particularly from a field different than yours. Participate in a science outreach program. I think that you are already doing, but I encourage you to do that. You all know that video is the most powerful tool. Now, here is our beautiful Vasilisa on stage, and Adrienne Kish, that is specialized in, I think, in chemistry or cosmochemistry, and we are register a MOOC. All the MOOCs are available on the SFE YouTube channel, and I encourage you to have a look on this great channel. To do this exercise and to succeed in doing this exercise, you have first to write storytelling. What your goal are, what you want to say, what is the level from people you address your storytelling, and we have 3 stages for the registration. First one is the preparation, the shooting, and then the editing. The editing takes a long time. The shooting generally takes 1 hour or something like that. And for the equipment, if you do this kind of exercise by yourself, because you want to register your friend or register yourself by yourself, is possible. Good equipment is good way to record image. It's good way to record sound, and never forget light, because light is a key of a good image. Then you have to editing and to broadcast. The editing, you can editing with Final Cut Pro, you can editing with Premiere Pro, you can editing with many tools. You can do a very short video, maybe 10 minutes video with 1 or more than 1 hour rush. So it's interesting for learning in a short time. So you have to do short sentences. It's better, current sentences for sure, and effects of surprise. It should be great for this kind of medium. You have to be very attentive for editorial line. The rhythm is important. The more shortest is your video, the more higher will be the rhythm to capture and maintain your audience. The subtitles are usually very helpful, even if you have short rush. The thumbnail is a kind of advertising. I make the promotion of one video. I do the best thumbnails I can, and acknowledgement for sure. And don't forget call to action. So call to action should be to see the next video, or to follow one people for one good reason. So most important part is this one. It's the last one, is to making sense. Making sense is the heart of communication. Don't communicate if you have no intention to making sense. Responsible communication is one means of making sense. We have to existing or coexisting or living as you want with artificial intelligence, with AI, and building the future is one of the missions of communication. Communication is a social responsibility, and it's your responsibility to educate decision makers. As you can see, they need you. They love you, they need you. Because they are not able to make a decision without you, without a scientific research, without a scientific result, without, I can say the scientific feeling, but without your expertise. They are not able to make decision. They are just able to make bad decision, but decision without knowing everything on the scientific subject. So it's your mission to educate decision maker. Very important one. Sustainable development, yes, it's part of social responsibility to protect our beautiful planet by stop doing everything with communication. And strategy and creativity should be involved in the responsible communication. You have to co-construct, co-design, to work together, to go further in the best way with the respect of the personal data and privacy, for example. And more generally, we need to tackle washing practices. You heard about washing practices, greenwashing. There is many colors. Greenwashing practices. There is blue washing practices that are related to social practices. There are pink washing practices and so on. We have to respect in social responsibility, diversity, equity and inclusion to make communication responsible. We have to exist in our environment, and our environment is the AI environment. We can avoid that. We are in the middle of the digital toolbox with chatbox, with voice assistants, with tools that generate personalized content, that are able to translate, to provide predictive text. And this is the area of communication between human and between computer. But at all we mind human and not computer. So human-computer communication faces functional, relational, and metaphysical challenges. And I said metaphysical challenges. I asked OpenAI ChatGPT-4. You heard about? And on the website of ChatGPT-4, I find those sentences. First one is how ChatGPT described itself. We research generative models and how to align them with human value. ChatGPT is searching how to align with human values. It's amazing. It's a very, very great, very great sentence, I think so. And GPT-4 is the most advanced system producing safer and more useful responses. So the AI should be aligned with the human values, should be the most advanced system to produce. And the word that is very interesting is safer. Produce safer. That means that what is produced should be, or possibly should be, dangerous. That's what I understand. And unuseful. So GPT-4 can solve difficult problems with greater accuracy. Greater accuracy. Why? thanks to a broader general knowledge and problem-solving abilities. That means that ChatGPT should be able to solve problems, maybe better than human can do that. I don't know, but maybe it's one of the objectives of ChatGPT is to be completely safe, to have the more useful responses, and to provide answer to problem, even if when they are complex. This the definition I obtain, the sentence I obtain when I ask ChatGPT, what is communication in science? That is the answer of ChatGPT. Communication is an essential aspect for science, and scientists must communicate their findings effectively to share their research and discoveries with others. Okay. Effective communication helps researchers to reach a wider audience, to promote their work, to attract funding, that's what ChatGPT says, and establish collaborations with other scientists. That's the answer of ChatGPT. Impressive. I ask ChatGPT how to communicate, how to disseminate, how to provide scientific contents worldwide. The answer is there are several ways scientists communicate their research findings, including one, research papers. So scientists typically publish their research findings in peer-reviewed journals. That's the first answer. Second one is conferences and presentation. That's the answer to of ChatGPT 4. Scientists frequently present their research findings at conferences and seminars, so we know that. This allows them to interact with other scientists in their field, get feedback on their work and network with colleagues. ChatGPT knows everything. Third answer, posters. You know what posters is? He knows too what it is. And he also knows that social media and blogs is also used by scientists to share their research findings and engage with the public. So he says that why ChatGPT says that social media and blogs are used by researchers to engage with public. ChatGPT only knows what data are providing to ChatGPT. Without data, ChatGPT knows nothing. So it's because the result of the data he received provide this result that ChatGPT says that to us. Last answer. In all cases, it is essential to communicate the research findings accurately and concisely while avoiding jargon or technical terms that may be difficult for others to understand. We know that, but he knows that too. And what ChatGPT says about itself. I enjoy a lot this answer. As an IA language model, my goal is to communicate as accurately as possible based on the information and data I have been trained on. Okay. And however, like any language model, my responses are generated based on statistical patterns and probability. Answer is the result of probability and may not always at 100% accurate or reflect a full complexity and given topics. He is aware of its limits, but not really. IA language model, I do not have personal experiences or emotions. Wow! And my response is based solely on the data I have been trained on. So the question is, what will be the future of ChatGPT 4? So building the future, that's the last point. For building the future, you have to create value, I think, in terms of knowledge. For me, I think that's the same case for you. But for me, the future is knowledge. It's not financial value. The financial value is just a kind of theater scene, I don't know. But the real value is in terms of knowledge. No value without knowledge, I think. Is to ensure the protection of the environment. As you know, we are not going to speak on environment now, but in this TESH, we know that we have a lot to do to preserve our planets, and there is no where is Martin? Martin have a lovely suite with there is no planet B, so everybody here knows that. You have to take into account the cultural impact because we are not just here in the TESH, we are in France and we are in Europe, and you come from Europe for a lot of you, and we are in this world, and the cultural impact should not be ignored. And we have to promote transparency, because with transparency, science will be more powerful. If science is transparency-like or transparency compatible, I think science will be more powerful. So for building the future, my advice is to communicate with an ethical and transparent manner in order to contribute to health and to well-being of society. Just to finish, Jacques Arnoux, I don't know if you know this guy, is in charge of ethics in CNES, and I think it's 2 weeks ago, he was on a radio, and somebody asked him, do you think we are alone in the universe? And he said, maybe yes or maybe not, I don't know, but let's dream. So my conclusion is that you need to dream. You need to dream to create. You don't need to transfer science with your feeling, but you need to dream to be able to do new experiments, to create a new path in which you are going further and further, and science will be growth, and you will obtain results, and you will be happy to disseminate you found. One thing that is important is to know why you get up in the morning, I think. Because if you know why you get up in the morning, everything will come automatically. If you're motivated, if you want to work for a better world, you know why you get up in the morning. If you don't know, ask the question to yourself. You will be better and better every morning. A kind of taking home message. I compile maybe 20, I don't know, photographs I took all over the world. It's just to say you that there is a lot of different people in the world, and if you want to address them, your science knowledge, you have to be able to address them in their particular culture, with their particular preoccupation, their age, their way of thinking, their way of living, their beliefs, because this is the world, and your science will be in adequation with that, with the world thinking. That's all. The most important in the story is the human, and the machine will not be able to take into account emotion, to take into account desire, all the combinations that are too complex because they are too human. I like the machine, I enjoy a lot, but I take the result and I try to stay, to remain inspired based on those results. That's all. It's just a tool for me, and I think the machine will never replace the human for the emotional and for the improvisation and for the most important for being happy. And in terms of communication for my job, it's very helpful, and in the meantime we spend a lot of time with dealing with this new way of working. But I think we will be more organized. It will be perfect. I'm not a scientist. If I ask ChatGPT what is the last discovery for maybe proteins, or I don't know, or generation of new molecules or synthesis molecules, I will obtain an answer. For example, a good answer. And I will say to you, molecules are built from... But I know nothing about that. I have no expertise, but you will listen to me. Oh, she knows. She tell us the truth, but it's not the case. So we have to face and we have to deal with, because I'm afraid we have no way to go back. We have no way. We are not able to stop the data. We are not able to stop Google. That's usually the same problem in case of innovation. You're a scientist, you put something new on the market, but you don't know, and you can't really anticipate to know what the user decide to do with the novelty. That is not possible. The user make what he want to make with, and usually have new ideas to do something. At the first stage, the Facebook was not designed to be used as a Facebook. That's the case of many tools. The ChatGPT want to obtain a lot of data to improve their strategy, to improve their tools. So they want to let the people completely free to make the use they want. They don't want to explain how to deal, how to do, what for.
I think communicating.
No, they don't want. It evolves very quickly. Now there is a 5GPT-5. It's the 5 version in the laboratory, and I heard it's an incredible tool. Very, very, very more powerful than the version 4. So now we have to deal with, for sure, it will be more and more efficient, more and more powerful, more and more present in our world. We have to live with the non-human elements, but it should be great. If you take a face, a human face, completely designed by a computer, completely. The character never exists. And you ask somebody, do you think this people is real, or this one is real? In fact, the choice is going to the people who is completely false, who is just a creation from a machine. So the machines are able to make people more real than they are in the real world, and more attractive. The question is how to know, how to know, how to be sure. That's a real question, and we are not able to answer now, but it should be a great question for the next years, for sure. Okay.